So you're talking about Brett Cooper. That's insulting to Brett Cooper. You have no idea what he's just saying shit, right? And it's not like he's reached out to us and said, hey, like, I'm doing this for all of us. Like, he reached out independently to Daily Wire hosts and been like, are you dealing with these egregious terms? No, he is doing this purely, let's not even try to make this anything but a selfish act that was to benefit Steven Crowder, who wants to launch his own network. Because, and by the way, I gotta say this is the most important part of this, and nobody is talking about this. He receives the term sheet, okay? And he thinks it's so egregious that he's got to make this video 4 months later, right? I don't know what happened in those 4 months after they started negotiating. I guess Steven Crowder woke up, new year, new me. I hate the Daily Wire, so I'm going to go after them. He thinks it's so egregious. The first thing he does is counteroffer and say, let's start talking about 140 million, okay? So if it was so outrageous, why did he go back to them and say, no, actually, we can have this conversation, but let's start talking about 140 million, right? It was only when the Daily Wire then turned that down that the term sheet became so egregious that he had to do something about it.
What's going on, everyone? It's Talk Skinny here today, and it's been a crazy week, as it all, right? The big con drama continues. So this is going to be a video reacting to Candace Owens on Timcast, and I wanted to use this as a platform because this way I can get both sides at the same time. You know, Tim's going to be playing Steven Crowder's most recent video about this Bitcoin drama. By the time this video come out, I don't know if there's going to be another thing coming out. Who knows? But I want to, I don't know, give my final thoughts about it because I know Crowder's going to be on Timcast on Monday, but I don't want to talk. Let's get into the video.
All right, so here's the first story that we have, and this one's going to get spicy. We got this video clip from Steven Crowder titled, I Didn't Want to Do This. Crowder has issued a response to Jeremy Boring's response. In it, Steven Crowder releases some audio, notably, well, let me see if I can play this. Do we have the audio properly set up?
Yep.
Here we go. We'll play the beginning.
They don't get deals that...
They can be wage slaves for a little bit, come over and make a salary and grow their brand.
I mean, I don't...
It doesn't make sense.
I don't see anything wrong with what he said. Maybe he could have used better words, Jeremy. And I know a lot of you guys think Jeremy is like condescending in a way. And I can see why you guys will say that because I was rewatching the video again after you guys pointed that out. And it did come across as if like he's talking down like, you know, you're making $50 million, you know, I expect to get work from you, you know? Not the best of look for Jeremy. I understand you guys, right? And I think the quartering, I forgot who said this, but they say that people at the Daily Wire gives off this like elitist feel, and I can see that, right? One thing I don't like when I watched this, I didn't watch the entire live stream because it was pretty late at night and I was pretty tired, but I did see when Candace Owens kind of went off and she was trying to attack Steven Crowder and saying, you got to put on your big boy pants. Bruh. Right, and I'm used to this because, you know, I mean, I'm used to this. I'm used to hearing women talk like that to men, like trying to shame them or downplay their masculinity or attack their masculinity in some way. So those insults didn't make Candace Owens look good, and they were letting her have it in the Tim Pool live chat. But I digress. I think I'm rambling, so let's get back into it.
They can be wage slaves for a little bit. They can be wage slaves for a little bit.
God bless the talk boy. Those things are worth like $5,000 now. It's an expensive gag.
That is kind of crazy. I didn't realize they were so expensive.
Yeah, they are.
All right.
Before YouTube, that was how I used to do it.
This is, I mean, this is a tough one. Steven's not here to defend himself, but Candace is here to give her perspective on this. So I'll just throw it to you and give me your thoughts on his response and what happened with the Daily Wire, because I know you got a lot to say.
I do have a lot to say about this because obviously the situation impacted me and it impacted all of the other hosts on the Daily Wire. So first and foremost, I feel like I just want to say this, which is that I have never once, I've been with Daily Wire 2 to 3 years now, you have never once heard me come out to defend the Daily Wire on anything. This is not the first time the Daily Wire has been in a firestorm or has been had some beef that has gone on, whether it's for Ben or Matt or Michael that's gone on the last 3 years. I tend to stay very much in my lane. As I mentioned before, I'm not an employee of the Daily Wire. I'm not required to come out and defend them. And I'm usually just not interested in these beefs that seem to be so fickle. They last for a day and then they go away. And it's probably the reason why for whatever, doesn't really matter what anybody thinks about me. I have a good relationship with pretty much everybody. Like, there's no one that I can't be invited and be in the same room with. Everybody sort of hates each other, but Alex Jones has a good opinion of me. Everyone from Alex Jones to Ben Shapiro to Paul Joseph Watson, Mike Cernovich is somebody that I call and ask for advice from time to time. Jack Posobiec. Like, I'm a kind of person that judges people based on how they treat people, right? I'm not interested in dabbling in this nonsense from time to time that appears and then goes away and ebbs and flows.
Yeah, and I thought that's what was gonna happen. Like, honestly, I thought after the Daily Wire response, that would have been the end of it. Crowder goes off and become his own thing, do his own platform, right? Use his email list, and I don't know. I think I would thought it would be over by now, but I heard that he's gonna come on Monday on Timcast, so I was like, oh, this is not quite over yet. So you guys are with me on this one, right? But as far as what Candace Owens is saying, I think she's I forgot how you say it. She's building her case, right? She's listing out all the reasons why. She's like, yo, look, I'm not in drama and don't usually speak on drama. And nope. I don't know. Honestly, man, I'm almost over it. I have to cover it out, obviously, because this is a big, like, if I do any other video other than what's going on with the big con thing, bruh, like, I know people ain't gonna watch it because everyone's interested in what's going on here. So I'm gonna continue covering it as much as I can. I think Monday will be the last straw for me, and I don't think I'll cover it anything else unless it's something substantial. But you guys let me know in the comment section, should I just keep doing what I'm usually doing, or you guys are really focused on, hey, let's see what's, like, how this all turns out. And to me, I'm starting to get the sense, and Candace Owens is going to kind of allude to this in the live stream, I get the sense that Steven Crowder is just trying to get people to pay attention, I guess, to what smaller creators are doing, right? And he's pointing out, like, it's been much centralization, right? Like, all the big conservatives that's coming along, and the up and coming, and people snatch them before they become a Steven Crowder. And this was Steven Crowder was alluding to in the recording as well. And I think you guys will hear it throughout this video, that he was alluding to, like, hey, they can never be another person like me because you guys have all these contracts where you get ownership of their stuff. And I agree with Steven Crowder on this point. Like, I believe we should be like content creators should be more like athletes, right? Hey, you still have your autonomy. Hey, you could still go do separate sponsorships for yourself and all that stuff. It's not everything has to be on brand under an umbrella of a company, right? I don't really agree with that, right? So if I'm just a contractor, okay, I do business with you, Daily Wire, and then I still can do my own thing, Like athletes do. Athletes can take any sponsorships they want, the burritos, the Sprite commercials, all that stuff. And then when it's time for the NBA, they do their stuff for the NBA. Like, I don't think that's a hard ask to, like, a want, right? But hey, I'm still new to this space, so I may not be knowledgeable on this stuff. So this is just me as a small creator looking at, like, on the outside looking in on things that I think will be valuable, right? For someone who's, like, up and coming, right? But I digress. Let's get into the video.
This situation, though, was different because basically Steven Crowder decided to launch a war and didn't really care who got hit, with the shrapnel, right? He comes out, he makes this glorious video, which it's shocking to me that people cannot see the amount of acting that is going into this. We all understand.
Now she's trying to disprove his point by, it's part of a debate, right? When you're trying to make your point, you want to throw as much mud on the other person's credibility as much as possible, right? So she's gonna bring up all his things in his past. Oh, he used to be a childhood actor. He used to be this. He used to be that. And she will try to insinuate that he's using this to get attention on himself, which it could be a valid reason, right? Because obviously he's the one who started the war, right? He threw the first stone, right? He who without sin should cast the first stone, right? And whether you agree with Crowder or not, he did throw the first stone, right? He put it out there. He could have just went like, hey, smart creators, I just want to make this video. I filled some offers, and make sure you're careful what you guys are signing, right? Some of these companies want their ownership of your brand. Do not sign contracts like this, right? He could have made like a more general statement than to bring out the actual contract, read it out, right? And then people got context clues because the minute you said 5 ad reads, I was like, damn, that sounds like the Daily Wire.
Bruh.
Oh, I didn't mean to laugh, guys, but let's get back into the video.
He was a childhood actor. I loved that show, Arthur. He was the brain. Like he is an actor. At the end of the day, he's an actor. It's also why he's so entertaining when it comes to politics. He's a talented person, but that people cannot discern the amount of acting that has gone on in this is stunning to me. I don't know where people's discernment, what's gone on with discernment, where you can't just spiritually discern that this
is me. Like look, I'm like, as a Stoic, I am principled, right? I always believe that humans are bad at perceiving things, like reading into things. We're bad at it. The only thing we're good at is observing things. I can't know if Steven Crowder is acting. No one can, right? You're not a mind reader, right, Candace? Nope. You're not a mind reader, okay? I can't believe you on, okay, he's acting. I can't. I only can go off of what he said. He made a claim. He was able to substantiate his claims. He has proof of his claim with the video recording. Talk about that, right? Because if I was on Timcast, I want to focus on trying to make myself, build up my authority or build up my perception and then talk. I would just be like, here's my thoughts. But her doing all this stuff, I would not fault anyone if they said, hey, I lost some trust in Candace Owens. I wouldn't argue that. I'm like, yeah, she's doing a lot here. She's doing a little too much, right? Less is more here. That's what I would say. As a defending party, less is more.
feels a little weird, right? You're recording conversations with someone that you have told us you are friends with forever. Oh, and by the way, at the end of you saying that you're just trying to do the right thing, you're also saying, I'm going to launch my own thing, right? So just when I first saw the first video that he dropped, obviously I'm not privy to negotiations that happened at the Daily Wire. I had no idea they were negotiating with Steven Crowder. Again, not my business. I came into work one day, suddenly Brett Cooper was there. Not my business. I don't know who they're hiring. I don't own the company, right? But what I started getting was after I had dropped.
And that's one thing I wanted to talk about. Sorry, guys, I keep pausing it, but hopefully you guys, give me some graces, guys. Give me some graces, okay? Brett Cooper is the interesting one, right? Because when he talking about when Jeremy was like, "Oh, they're wage slaves," right? That's a term I heard all throughout my life. When I was working in retail, when I used to work at a gym, I knew I was like, "Yo, I'm not making enough money to really get far or do what I really want to do in life," right? And I was used to hearing when you work minimum wage or you're paying your dues. That's how it's usually terminology. Now, no, we live in a sensitive culture now, that you can't insinuate anything towards historical bad, right? But this is a figure of speech. I won't get too emotional about wage slave, right? But within the context, Brett Cooper is a perfect example of what Jeremy's talking about. You came in, you don't have much of a following, actually no following at all. Last time I checked, I remember when Brett Cooper a year ago first came onto the scene, because I follow all the Daily Wire people. Michael Knowles is my favorite. They all promoted her, right? Throughout their mind you, most of all the DW hosts, I think the Daily Wire hosts, all have more than 1 million subscribers, right? Ben shouted her out. Candace shouted her out. Matt Walsh shouted her out. Michael Knowles shouted her out. And she grew to about 50K, 57K in a day. And then she started producing content. And then next year, by the end of the year, she was in 1 million subscribers. I was like, damn, she grew quick. So for someone like that, that's valuable, right? When I came into my corporate job, and this is normal in corporate America. This is normal in any workplace. I don't understand. This is my problem with, this is where I start being skeptical of Steven Crowder. Bruh. Because that's normal. You're coming in at entry level, bruh. You're not gonna have enough leverage to demand salary, right? When I came in on my job, the average income was $55K a year. I couldn't demand that because I have no experience, and because I have no experience, I got the lowest offer. And I was like, yo, I'm gonna take it because I value the experience more than I value income. That's the benefits of being young. They say the youth is wasted on the young. This is why. Because we'll sit here and say, no, I deserve to get 55K, but you don't have 55K experience. And this is, I don't understand what Steven Crowder was going with that, but maybe it's because I haven't seen the video yet. But that's a disclaimer for me. All right, but let's get back into the video.
My podcast, in the comment section, everyone was basically tearing me apart, being like, blink twice if you need help, for saying I'm a hostage situation, or saying, what if you don't say anything about Steven Crowder, you're a fraud, just suddenly you're a fraud. So I go and I watch this video, and just like everybody else watching it live, his first video, your instincts are like, whoa, he's throwing some bombs. He's calling it Big Con. He's saying essentially that we are enslaved by these contract terms. He actually uses the term enslavement. If you don't want to be a slave, you maybe you'll come work with me. I'm going to figure.
So here's the point that I want to bring up is that I don't believe in most people being victims. You volunteer, right? If you sign a contract, regardless if you were informed about the decision or not, you volunteered for that, right? Just like voting. Oh, I didn't know Joe Biden had this laptop story. If I knew about the Joe Biden laptop story, I wouldn't have voted for Joe Biden.
Nope.
It don't matter. You already voted. You volunteered for that. That's your fault, right? Extreme ownership, personal responsibility. You should have informed yourself a lot more instead of relying on third parties to give you your information. I'm just saying. So if you do an uninformed decision, and later on you realize you did an uninformed decision, whose fault that is?
It doesn't make sense.
It's yours. So I don't know. That's the skepticism that's starting to creep up about me with Steven Crowder. Now, I'm not saying Steven Crowder's wrong. Nothing Steven Crowder said was wrong. I'm trying to discern the motivations for doing this, right? Because he started it. Regardless of how you feel about the situation, he started it. Then Daily Wire felt like, yo, people are keep linking us to this contract. People already kind of suspect it's us. Might as well come out and do damage control, right? Logical so far? Okay. Now you come out. You recorded them. The people who care about the truth of the matter, they're not gonna like ding you for that. But people are gonna be like, why were you recording him? Right? And then people are going to start making these narratives like for instance, someone brought up the fact that he created the Big Con campaign or business or whatever it was. He registered it in December of last year. So people are already thinking this was premeditated. And people got some proof. If you got proof, I can't just dismiss your argument. I'm going to have to consider it. And that's what I'm doing. I'm considering it right now. I'm like, damn, is this just a publicity stunt so we can get eyes on him, so that way he can be like, hey guys, here's my new platform, which is smart from a business perspective, right? It's smart, right? But then if you want to go chastise the other side about being businessmen, and then you're doing this, people, it don't make either side look good on this. This is all I'm trying to get. The point is, as an outsider and as someone non-associated with them at this level, it makes them both look kind of like petty, right? This is. I'm like, yo, how y'all starting to become a distraction now? That's all I'm saying.
Figure it out for all of us. Like, you're a hero, you're a martyr. And because I was getting so many comments, the first thing I did was that I messaged my EP and I said, we have to cover this tomorrow on the show, because now everyone thinks I'm a fraud and they think that I've signed with fraudulent terms or slave-like terms, and that's so totally unfair to me. So my interest in this is that it hit me and it hit everybody else at the Daily Wire, and it was unfair.
Do you, I don't know, you don't have to answer this, I guess, but do you have a similar contract?
There are certain terms that I recognize. That's why I immediately knew it was Daily Wire. So, for example, the fee reduction if you miss a day of work, right? Like if you miss a day of work, we are paying for X amount of episodes, and this is a steep amount if you miss one day of work. When you first see that, when I first received a contract from the Daily Wire, I went, that's a shocking number to see. Then you have to calculate, and by the way, mine was not this. I want to be very clear. I don't have a $50 million contract. If there's anything I should be upset about, it's that they were going to pay that much to Steven Crowder, right?
Not you.
I need to go renegotiate my contract.
Some people think that Candace Owens is like jealous of the contract, and that's why she's coming out. And I mean, end of the day, when someone has something that you don't have, it's always going to inspire envy. It's just how you respond to that envy is what separates you from a good person than a bad person, right? It's just, end of the day, emotion is emotion. Emotion is just energy. How you direct that energy is whether it will be productive or destructive to your life. That's all I'm gonna say. But
so you see it and it's shocking, and then you read under, which is what he did not include when he says, so if I get hit by a car, like I'm just gonna $100,000 a day. He didn't tell you how much he made. You don't know what $100,000 means unless you can see what were they offering him, and you can calculate yourselves. Okay, so what they're basically saying is that we're paying you $63,000 a day. You know what I'm saying? He purposely excluded right beneath it that says that actually it's pro rata if in event of an emergency. That's a very insignificant thing that would allow people not to be enraged at seeing this.
Yeah, just to clarify, when Jeremy released his video, he showed the additional portion that said in the event of temporary disability, they prorate you, there's no penalty. And then we talked about this last night.
Yeah, that's a suspicious point too that I noticed with the contract is that he talked about, if I get hit by a car, yeah, but underneath, like in the same contract, I don't know if he got a different version or and gerrymandering can happen on both sides, whatever, right? Right? Oops. Right? So I don't know if did Jeremy added that last part or was it always in the contract? You get me? And this is what I'm talking about. Now it's starting to be distracting because now people are like shifting through, trying to go through all the noise and try to get the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is they don't see eye to eye. Crowder starts trying to give business advice to the Daily Wire, saying, hey, you guys don't have to rely on AdSense, right? And Daily Wire, they see, because if something's working, are you less incentivized to not do that thing that's working? Right? Like it's a hard ask. It's hard to come in as an outsider and tell a business how it's running when it's being successful at what it's doing currently. You know, it's going to be hard to really change people's ways off that model, right? But hey, I don't know anything. I'm just a small creator.
I said the $100,000 seems punitive. I think you mentioned, yeah, but what about Daily Wire's costs? I said, oh yeah, fair point.
DC Drano did, and that is exactly right.
Yeah.
They have all of these contracts that exist. It's very easy to understand. We're paying you, here's this $100,000. We're paying you $63,000 for the content. They also have a bunch of contracts for everybody that's working on the show. So for example, my EP, she's contracted. I don't know what her contract says, and maybe it says that no matter what, she is guaranteed this amount of money. So if I magically call out, they still have to pay her. They still have to pay the camera guy. Maybe the advertising is punitive. If you didn't give us the content, the advertisers maybe then say, okay, Daily Wire has to pay us $5,000 if Candace doesn't read ads on that day. You don't know when you have an organization this big what everybody's contracts are. So I assume it's $60,000, and then they're baking in an extra $38,000 to cover their asses to pay everybody else that maybe showed up for work that day.
But Jeremy did say punitive. Because he said, well, you're right about the costs all around it. But he basically said one circumstance is you're choosing not to work, and one is you're unable to work.
Right.
If you're unable, we get it. We'll just prorate based on the lost day. But he also said something interesting that you could make up that day by banking it at any time.
Right.
So
I do that, by the way. I do that, and that's why it's so annoying. So I see these things, and it's to people who don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Now I'm starting to be like, I'm starting to get over it, but you know, end of the day, Candace has the floor right now, but Monday maybe we'll hear something different from Steven Crowder, right? But on the outside looking in, I'm just thinking, okay, yeah, there's a lot of things within your control that you can do something about it, right? But if I keep using Steven Crowder's premise is, if it was me and I got a contract like that, I wouldn't be able to like negotiate some of these things out because I don't have leverage. And I think that's the point that Steven Crowder is trying to do. Believe it or not, I believe Steven Crowder is trying to use himself as somewhat as a martyr. He's just trying to bring attention to this stuff. So that way he has like, oh, we're going to look at companies unfavorably for doing these kind of contracts to their up and coming creators. And that's the point I think Candace Owens is missing. So any attack on him is just making you look like, yo, but you're not addressing the point. Steven Crowder is saying he's being the flag bearer, like for smaller creators, saying, hey, give them more favorable terms, help develop them. Yes, you get some profit out of it. That's fine. But let them have control over their image and likeness. Just like what was going on with the NCAA, which is the college athletes. Now the college athletes own their likeness and image. Now they can do sponsorships. It's not monopolized under the college anymore. If we see that as wrong, hey, someone should be able to profit off their likeness and image, then why and the Daily Wire will give a contract where the creators can't benefit off their likeness and image, and you get all this control over them. I think that's the point Steven Crowder was trying to point out. And I agree with that. Like, you know, I come from a basketball background. Like, I used to play it in high school. I see those contracts all the time. So I'm used to seeing that level of autonomy from a corporation. You just contracted with them, right? You're not an employee, right? So you should be able to do stuff on your own. Bruh. And I think that's the main point that Steven Crowder was trying to go to. I don't think I'm going to react to the rest of this video. You guys can watch this, the live stream. It's like 2 hours of video, so good luck. But guys, let me know your thoughts on, you think this drama is pointless, it's starting to draw the wrong attention. What you guys think will happen on Monday? You think Steven Crowder will bring more receipts, less receipts? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I really will be interested in hearing it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.